Europe, the area which was at the start of the 9th century, still under the Ottoman Empire, which has certain kind of specific sort of historical, political, cultural features. Sort of from Romania, say, from Yugoslavia, they have differences, putting together is in some sense sort of arbitrary, but I think there are nevertheless reasons for considering the region as a whole. It's not the case that West Europe hasn't had similar problems and doesn't continue to have them, and I think we're going to see perhaps more these national conflicts playing themselves out in the West as well. The question of Belgium model happened there, and the question of Spain with Catalonia, in Britain and Scotland, we have Northern Ireland as well, which isn't completely stable either. So it's not the case that you have a sort of wonderful, perfect Western Europe and sort of Balkans, which have kind of little problems. So in a sense, Balkans are interesting because they are facing problems in a very acute form, which nevertheless have been European experience generally. So this transition to nation statehood, where nation states emerge as sovereign bodies, has happened in the Western Balkans a bit later than it happened elsewhere. So finally, say Croatia and Slovenia and Macedonia are getting, say, an independent nation statehood, which Western European countries achieved in the 9th century, which was, say, Belgium, for example, in the 1830s. So in that sense, it's interesting sort of how Balkans sort of fits into the wider European pattern. One question of sort of disciplining. I tend to feel, I understand what you're saying. How right is it, for example, to sort of say that states should be disciplined by the sort of collective? I mean, I just feel that what you have now is sort of the one troublemaker will then impose his view on the whole union to the interest of consensus and the rights of member states. You have the EU following Greece's policy of Macedonia, which is a very unjust, destructive policy which everyone else has to follow. There's no way of forcing Greece to sort of back down. And I take quite a sort of realist approach that is in the interest of Europe. This should be disciplined, and I don't really mind using that language. That ultimately, if you can talk about Europe as a sort of project, as a sort of democratic as a whole, body which acts collectively, which acts in its common interest, and which is pursuing integration, then you have to have some mechanism which prevents other troublemakers from causing trouble. But I think we disagree about that.
We have time for one more last question, after which we will finish today's session.
I just wanted to see what your thoughts are. There are a lot of countries that are talking about breaking up into little pieces, and yet everybody wants to join the EU. And so it seems contrary to me that everybody wants to define their borders, and then all of a sudden they want to get rid of their borders. Does this strike you as interesting, or?
I don't think it's really a contradiction, because I sort of feel the EU is a sort of post-nationalist sort of construct, in the sense that first you achieve national sovereignty, and then you can voluntarily pool that sovereignty with other states who want to do the same thing as you. So you can't bypass the period of nation statehood. The EU is made up of nation states who join voluntarily, and you have to give nation states the right to perform themselves, and then they can join the EU. So the point is, the EU is justified because it's voluntary association, because states are formally retain the right to secede, to leave it again. Whereas, for example, the countries in former Yugoslavia, that right hadn't really been established. So it's the union they wanted to be into, the post-union that they didn't really want to be part of, didn't feel they were being allowed to choose freely. But the EU has to be a state which upholds and respects the sovereignty of its members, so it has to be one which gives more national rights to its member states than nations would enjoy in former Yugoslavia or the Soviet Union or in other unfree constructs.
I have just a short announcement to make. Thank you very much for attending today's seminar. I'd like to announce that next month, and you will be notified on time, it's going to be on the 19th of November. Our speaker will be General Klaus Reinhardt, former commander of KFOR. And he will speak about his experience as commander of KFOR in the end of 1999 and beginning of 2000. Thank you very much for your attention.